And we're back from outer space. Welcome back to Buzz Pucks. I'm Bert.
I will survive. And I'm Clay.
I won't.
You can't do that to me. You can't start that song.
Then stop it abruptly. Hey, guess what, guys?
It's over.
Officially the off-season. The Cup Finals is over. It worked out perfectly. It ended last night.
Mm-hmm. In 6, like I said.
You're right.
I actually called something right.
We'll talk about all the individual games, but Colorado Avalanche are your 2022 Nhl Stanley Cup Champions.
For the first time since 2001.
For the first time since 01. They deserved it.
Very much
They were the best team in the league for almost the entire season. They were one of the more consistent teams. And then they were the consistently best team. Florida overtook them, but
picked them at the end.
Yeah, but I think Colorado from bell to bell was essentially the best team.
Oh yes.
On the season, it doesn't work out that way every time, where the best team is the winner.
Usually it doesn't.
Normally it doesn't, but this year it did. So there we go. But before we get into any of that, Clay, what are we drinking?
We are drinking Marlowe Artisanal Ales. We're drinking Ploosh. It is a extra special bitter. I did read that correctly.
You did, yeah. I don't really know what that means. So
I've had it before.
Find out. Oh, have you? Oh.
I don't know what that means, though.
I mean, yeah. That's good.
It's special. It's bitter. It's
not crazy bitter.
It's from New Haven, Connecticut.
It is from New Haven, Connecticut. Yeah, shout out. So let's get to it, though, because we got 4 games to cover.
4 games to cover.
Of the Cup Final.
And
then
try to cover some teams.
4 teams each, like last week? And then next week
time allows.
Time will allow. Because at least one of my teams, I don't have really that much to say about them. But
that's fair.
But let's get to these games. So, if you guys don't remember, Colorado was coming into this week up 2-0 in the series, looking pretty strong. Stomped Tampa in Game 2. 7-0 was that Game 2 score. However, in Game 3, Tampa Bay got the game that they needed. They won 6-2, but I don't even think it was really that close.
They bounced back. Oh,
they had total control of this game.
It was the reverse of Game 2.
Oh yeah, absolute control in this game. Colorado did get 2 power play goals, but other than that, Tampa Bay was it was all Tampa.
It was all.
We didn't do the news. Remind me, we'll do the news after.
They clogged up the neutral zone, which was what made them good against the Rangers. So they were able to do what they did best at, to get them there, and Colorado didn't have an answer.
You know what's really funny is John Cooper, like a couple weeks ago, was like, I don't make excuses when we lose, and then like after Game 2, he was like, maybe the altitude's affecting how we're playing. Like, okay, John.
You were in Colorado for a week. The altitude's no longer a problem.
I saw a meme of like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like at his board, and it was like John Cooper trying to explain how every goal Colorado scored shouldn't have counted.
Well, it's one of those things where if this was intentional from John Cooper, he did an excellent job of trying to take any blame off of the players and put them onto himself. The media focused directly on all the crap. I'm just
goofing on Cooper because he was a very good loser. You know, he was very gracious.
I mean,
losing.
During the series, he was a whiny ass bitch.
Oh sure, but you know, honestly, you could say that about all of the coaches. Because if you pay attention, the coaches are always screaming at the refs. You look at Mike Sullivan; he's always screaming at the ref. You look at Barry Trotz; he's always screaming at the ref. You know. Anyway, let's get back to this game. Palat, Maroon, and Stamkos all had a goal and an assist in this game. Hedman and Kucherov had 2 assists each. Vasilevsky's stopped 37 of 39 shots, so it's not like Colorado wasn't getting shots.
No, but Vasilevsky played like Vasilevsky.
He played like himself again. Kucherov did leave in the third period after hit by Devin Tays, the better of the Tays brothers now. He didn't miss any time. I think he missed the rest of this game, but he didn't miss any other games. Corey Perry, is the first player to score a cup goal, a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals with 4 different teams. Anaheim, Dallas, Montreal, and obviously Tampa Bay. Obviously he scored in this game.
Yes.
So it's
very
good on him.
He's only got 1 cup.
He's also the first player to lose 3 straight Stanley Cups with 3 different teams.
Yep.
Can he go 4 for 4 next year? Let's see who he signs with.
I mean, he broke Pat Maroon's Stanley Cup win streak.
3-year Stanley Cup win streak. Yeah. But that's really it for this game. It's the game that Tampa needed.
Yep.
Turning the series back around, then everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Tampa's a good team too." Yeah. Moving on to Game 4, a very good game.
Oh yeah.
Very back and forth game. However, Colorado did win in overtime, 3-2. Cogliano and McKinnon had the regulation goals for Colorado, while Cirelli and Hedman scored for Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And brace yourself, racist St. Louis Blues fans, but Nazem Kadri did score the overtime game-winning goal.
Overtime winner, coming back, playing with a broken thumb.
He did. This was his first game back, too.
It was his first game back.
Now, Vasilevsky did play pretty well, 34 of 37. Kemper, 37 of 39. Colorado came from behind in the third period. They were down 2-1. Ended up tying the game and obviously winning the game. It was a really fun back and forth game. It wasn't a ton of scoring, but it was really back and forth. There is a bit of a controversy on that overtime game winner. We have to at least mention it.
I'm fine, but it's nothing.
Yeah, so now, technically, Colorado did have too many men on the ice, but I don't think it affected the play at all. And also, 4 seconds before that, Tampa Bay had 7 guys on the ice that they also did not call.
So, quick transitions through the neutral zone are very difficult for while line changes.
Oh, absolutely.
Are hard for refs to track.
Yeah, they lose track of everybody. They have to track 10 players on the ice. So.
And they're moving through zones trying to catch up with the play themselves.
So if you put things in slow motion, it's really easy to point out penalties. But in real time, how many of you guys out there actually saw that there were 6 guys on the ice for Colorado?
It's much harder.
And by 6 guys, one of them had his back to the play and was just getting off of the ice.
That being said, it was a very sloppy line change by McKinnon.
Sure.
It was
he got called for it in the next game.
It was a very sloppy line change.
But
McKinnon was 40 feet from the bench when Kadri hopped on, but he was going straight to the bench. Now, at the same time, again, 6 men on one, 7 men on the other. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Don't matter. But I know there's in every single cup final, there is something that the losing team's fans will be like, "Whoa, if they called that penalty, that would have turned the whole game around." Maybe you still would have lost.
Right.
It does. You don't know. What if they called that and then Colorado scored on a shorthanded goal, 4 seconds later? Mm-hmm. I don't really think it mattered that much.
It was a great individual effort by Kadri.
Oh, it was a gorgeous goal, and no one knew it was in the net either because it got stuck up under the crossbar.
Yeah, even Kadri didn't know.
No, one of the
found it first.
No, I think did he? I know one of the Colorado defensemen came in and was like, "It's there."
Yeah, well, all the guys on the bench saw it.
Oh, okay.
It was funny because the entire Avalanche bench
and they came off, and
went
Kadri was
crazy.
Like, "What happened?"
Exactly.
You're like, "You scored."
Stamkos was trying to hide it with
put his hand over it. It's gonna be found regardless.
Oh, that's not even that's just
a little funny
Funny.
gamesmanship. It's like, no, you don't see that. Just poke it through the net, and take it. I found it. Cernak did leave this game in the second period after he blocked a shot.
Yeah.
Kemper is the first goalie ever to have an assist on an overtime game-winning goal in the Cup final.
Yeah, because
that's pretty crazy.
Was he a primary or secondary assist?
Primary.
Yeah, that's what I
he
thought.
put that puck on. It was a hell of a pass. Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. I'm just making sure.
Yeah. So that's crazy in the 100+ years that the NHL has existed. That's the first time that's happened. But hey, there you go. Moving on to Game 5, another very closely checked game, very fun game. Another 3-2 game, but this one for Tampa Bay in regulation.
Yes.
Jan Ruda, of all people, and Kucherov had the goals for Tampa Bay.
Yep.
The non-game winning goals for Tampa Bay. Well, Makar and Nichushkin each had a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
And Andre Palat, that fucking guy,
that game winner,
had a game winner in the third. Now, it wasn't at the end of the period. It was with 13 minutes left in the game, but he took the air out of Colorado.
You could see everyone
played. He scored that goal, and it was just all the fans were just like, "Oh, shit."
That was the game,
Yeah. Point and Burakovsky, neither one played this game.
Point
And each has missed the last 3 games.
Yeah, Burakovsky only played the first game.
I don't think he played in Game 6 either. Neither did Point.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Neither played. Burakovsky broke his thumb blocking a pass from Hedman in neutral ice.
Gotcha.
Literally, that's what he did.
Oh, that sucks.
He has already had successful thumb surgery.
I see.
Like,
okay.
Today.
The day after they won. He probably drank a bunch and then was like, get rid of the surgery.
Exactly.
Point, of course, got injured in I believe, the last game against Toronto in the first round. He did play in Game 1, but then it's a knee injury, I'm pretty sure. He tried to gut it out, but obviously
next week we'll probably talk about all the injuries that Tampa had.
All of the surgeries that people had done, yeah.
Because both Tampa and Colorado were just jumping in front of every single shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, you know what? It's the Cup Finals. I would be, too.
Burakovsky also had a broken ankle that he was...
Someone else was playing on a broken foot, too, I saw today. Can't remember who it was.
Either way.
We'll see. Yeah, like I said, this was a really good game. All of the games have really... Well, at Tampa Bay, you really have to say, was very resilient in this series. They took
desperate.
all of the punches that Colorado could give them and punched them right back, except for Game 2. But all the other games, Tampa Bay was in that game, or they dominated that game, like in Game 3. So really, they're the 2-time Cup champion. Of
100%.
course, they're not they're not gonna blink.
They're not pushovers.
No. But in Game 6, Colorado ended it.
Yes.
They won 2-1 in regulation.
Yep.
It was a very good game. You might if you're.
It was defensive.
If you didn't watch, you'd be like, well, there wasn't that many goals scored. How's that fun? There were chances.
Yes,
there were plenty of chances. McKinnon had a goal and an assist. Stamkos had Tampa Bay's lone goal. Vasilevsky, 28 of 30. Kemper, 22 of 23. And Laakkonen had that game-winning goal in the second period.
They had a great pickup from Montreal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great pickup from Montreal.
That was probably the best trade deadline trade. Tampa Bay.
Well, they needed Manson after...
oh, that's right. They got Manson, too, yeah.
Because Girardi got hurt.
Yes,
so
Girard
got hurt, so Manson was already there.
Yeah.
Which made up for that fight, because that's kind of what Colorado needed. They got... they were so skilled last year.
Yeah, they just got pushed around.
They got pushed around, so they got in Girard and Manson, and Landeskog's no pushover, but...
No, but...
some of the other
guys like McKinnon
guys,
is more of a depth is where you want that size, so you can go and throw some bodies around too. Tampa Bay only had 4 shots in the third period. 4. Colorado clamped down defensively. It was a defensive clinic in the third. They didn't get their first shot until 10 minutes into the third period. It was crazy. Cale Makar is your Conn Smythe winner. And if you don't know, that's the playoff MVP. He deserved that.
Yeah, he had 20-something.
He didn't score a ton in this series, but in the previous series, he was scoring all over the place.
Left and right.
Yeah, he absolutely deserved it.
I think he needed one more point to break the record as a defenseman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I bet I know who owns it. I bet it's Paul Coffey.
Probably.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's 11 series winning streak is finally over. The dragon has been slayed. That's not a word. Slayed. Until next year.
Yep.
I saw somebody be like, "Oh, they're not a dynasty. They only won 2 in a row." I'm like, they could win again next year, maybe.
Well, it's. Now you're arguing over dynasties in cap era.
That's true. I think you could. I think 2 in a row. I think that's a dynasty. Well, because it's so hard. Now
you look at their records.
Well, yeah.
The past 8 years.
Yeah.
They have, other than when they got knocked out in the first round, 2019.
Yeah, they were always right there.
And then 2017, they missed the playoffs by 1 point due to their
just horrific injuries.
Team being injured.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Other than that, they were in the conference final.
In the Cup era, it's insane that you win 2 in a row. Cap era. What did I say?
Cup.
Yeah.
We're talking about Cup.
That's true. In the cap area, it's insane that you win 2 in a row because the cap is there so that you don't just keep your team together forever.
Right.
maybe it doesn't seem that big a deal because before they won 2 in a row, Pittsburgh won 2 in a row, like not even 5 years before that. So, but before Pittsburgh did it, it was 20 years before that had happened. So, I think you could, but it's really semantics.
It's really semantics. But also, like, again, Tampa only won 2, but in the past 5 years, they've been into the Eastern Conference Finals.
Pittsburgh beat them in one of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Washington beat them in their Eastern Conference Final.
That wasn't 2 years in a row, but that was 2 out of 3. And before that, they went to a Cup Final, I think in Chicago, several years before that.
Yeah.
They were always
the
right there.
2011, I wouldn't count as their dynasty.
It might be like the beginnings of it.
Because they took like 5 years off from going.
That's true. That's true. But starting with, you know what it was? It was 2016. They played the Penguins in the Eastern Conference Final, and Ben Bishop blew out his knee in the first game, and then a young buck named Andre Vasilevsky came in, and he was like, "I'm the best goalie that has been in the league since Brodeur."
Yeah.
Here I am, and he almost beat the Penguins because he came in, and I was like, I remember watching that. I was like, "Oh, the Penguins got this now. Ben Bishop's not playing."
Yeah.
It sucks that he got hurt, but, like, that's their starting goalie, and the Penguins are hot as shit.
Right.
So there's no way that they're going to stop him with this random Russian guy. And he almost did.
And that random Russian guy.
And he almost did. And then he's won 2 Vezinas since then, and 2 Cups, and he is definitely the best goalie in the league. Like Clay said, Colorado's first since 2001.
Yep.
They did win in 96 before that. All 3 times. That boy Joe Sakic lifted the cup.
Yes, he did.
He was the captain for the first 2 and the general manager of this one.
So it's funny to see, with their history of rivalry, Sakic is the GM for the Avalanche and
Yzerman's the GM of Detroit.
Detroit.
Oh man, come on, Detroit! You got to get better in the next couple of years.
Well, you can talk about how Yzerman built this.
Yzerman built Tampa Bay, actually. Yeah,
not completely.
A slight extent.
To a slight extent. Is it Brisbois?
Brisbois. I think.
Brisbois.
Yeah, close enough.
Well, I knew it was French and Brisbois.
That's a French ass name, Brisbois.
So Brisbois brought in like Point and
that's true.
Like
drafted
Point. So
yeah, but Yzerman drafted Kucherov, and Kucherov he drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round. Like that's a pretty good pull.
No, Yzerman built the floor.
Yeah,
but
he built the older core, and then Brisbois will pass that.
Put the roofing in.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a combination.
So congratulations, Avalanche. Much deserved victory.
Yep.
Before we get into our off-season previews, we have a little bit of news. Mostly coach hirings.
Gonna leave off Edmonton's.
Woodcroft is just...
he's the coach.
He was going to be anyway.
I'm going to talk about him when we do our recap of
that's fine.
Edmonton.
Dallas. I don't know why, but they hired Peter DeBoer.
He just keeps feeling it.
He just keeps, like... I don't think he deserves to be a coach, at least not this season. After what he did with Vegas.
If the team is good, he's a good coach.
Yeah, they cover up his inadequacies. But, Vegas definitely showed this year. They had a ton of injuries. Vegas theoretically should be a good team, but, they were injured to hell and back.
Right.
He just, really loves to blame the goalie. He blamed Fleury. He blamed Lehner. He's just he's going to blame Ottinger.
He blamed Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
Thompson. Who is a rookie and is not technically on the team.
So Peter DeBoer is the coach of the Dallas Stars, for better or worse. Just like Tortorella in Philly. He might be fine. I don't know.
You know their lineup or their situation better than I do.
I haven't gone through it yet. That'll probably be next week, but I don't think they're in a good place.
I mean, I think the Radulov contract's gone now, but
he's off the books. But that Jamie Benn and even Tyler Seguin's contract doesn't look great.
No.
But yeah, so DeBoer to Dallas. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be something.
It'll be fun to watch as not a Dallas fan.
Yeah.
Florida hired Paul Maurice as
they
their
did.
head coach. So I thought that was. I think that's an interesting pick. He's not a bad coach. Winnipeg is just.
They had a window.
They had a window. I'm going to talk about them, and they're one of my previews this week. They're not in a good place.
They need to blow it up.
Yeah. We'll get to them in a little bit. But
what you'll talk about, if they blow it up, they can make that rebuild short.
Oh, yeah. They can get bank for the players that they're going to trade, but that they could trade. But, Maurice to Florida. So I think
with the team Florida has, he can do good.
I think that might be a good fit.
I can understand wanting to give Burnett some more time, but at the same time, I think getting to the playoffs, he kind of let that team do its thing.
And then they got swept by Tampa Bay.
Well, and that doesn't work in the postseason.
Nope. You need structure for the postseason.
You need structure in the postseason. And if that rumor is true, if the team, a bunch of guys on the team going out late at night, the night before
for Florida.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that.
There's a rumor that a bunch of guys went out late at night the night before Game 4.
Ooh, that's not a good look at all. Yeah.
If you're letting that happen, you don't have the locker room and you don't get to stay as a coach.
That's not a good look. No. I think after that sweep, he was already the interim coach, and then they should have lost to the Capitals.
They should have.
They got outplayed by the Capitals, so I kind of get it.
If Wilson doesn't tear his ACL, they lose to the Capitals.
Yeah. So then they just got
mollywopped
by
Garnet Hathaway, 6 inches to the left for that empty net. They're down 3-1 in that series.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think Paul Maurice might be a fairly good fit there. Chicago hired. I didn't write his first name. I believe it's Luke Richardson as their head coach. I don't really know that much about him. I think he's like a younger coach, so that might work for Chicago. I think Chicago just needs a whole new.
They do
everything,
Didn't he come out from Finland? No, I'm thinking of someone else.
No, I don't think so.
There was a rumor of a Finnish guy going to Florida.
So we'll see how Richardson does with Chicago. Chicago's going to be a dumpster fire next year, as I already discussed last week.
Well, the problem with Maurice and DeBoer is again they're the type of coaches that play veterans over young guys. Yeah.
Well, DeBoer, I think, has a lot to do with that quote unquote old boys club.
Yes.
Because in hockey,
we'll talk about an old boys club.
Oh yeah, we're gonna. But you see the same coaches kind of just like being recycled around the league, because teams that have very good coaches, like the Penguins, for instance, don't fire their coaches, even if they're having like a rough few years. Tampa Bay too with John Cougar, Colorado with Bednar. They keep those coaches because they're like, you can do it.
Eric Johnson won his first Stanley Cup after being drafted and spending his entire career with Colorado.
Yeah, good for him. I would retire. Honestly. Yeah. I saw a picture, and it was the last 5 guys on the roster from that disastrous 48-point Colorado team. What was it, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Where they were just horrible.
They're so
bad.
And
it was McKinnon, Johnson, Landeskog, Rantanen, and JT Compher, who I didn't realize was on the team all the way back then. But, So, anyway, we mentioned Winnipeg. Their number 1 coaching target was Barry Trotz, but he told Winnipeg and everybody else that he is taking the year off, at least the year off.
As he should.
Yeah. I don't think... Trotz doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He has a cup ring. He's a fantastic coach.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to coach Winnipeg either. So
right, he might like Winnipeg and want to coach them.
Well, he's from there.
No, that's what I mean.
He's from Manitoba.
He's from that area. Yeah. He might want to coach them, but he's looking at their situation
right now.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to go there.
And he doesn't want to touch that.
No.
Also, Sweeney, the GM for...
Don Sweeney, for Boston.
For Boston, got extended 4 years, which is...
Okay.
Boston's window is officially closed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be bad, guys.
Yeah, it's just so confusing that they fired their coach and then kept Don Sweeney.
It's gonna be bad.
And who's their president? It's someone
Neely.
Cam Neely. Cam Neely. That's right.
That's old boys club right there.
That's old boys club right there. Yeah. But the big time NHL awards were also announced in the last few days. Weirdly, they did a weird thing this year because they announced like the Jack Adams and the Selke early for some reason.
Yeah.
Because I know Bergeron signed an extension.
I have not seen.
Yeah, he signed, or he's working on it anyway, like a 1-year extension.
They can't afford him.
I'm just telling you what I saw. That's a rumor. I guess that's not announced yet.
But they only have $2 million to work with.
Maybe he takes $1 million. I mean, he's 37. Like has millions of dollars. So
agreed, but there's taking a team friendly deal, and then there's like undervaluing yourself.
That's like the fan dream of like take a hometown discount.
Where
Evgeny Malkin, where you take $1 million.
The union might step in. It's just like you can't take that much of a discount.
Here's the thing: he's that old. But that's like what Joe Thornton has been doing. But Joe Thornton's like 44 or something. He's significantly older than Bergeron. But I don't know.
I got you right here.
I could have sworn. Oh, actually, I have Cap probably pulled up.
Their Orton is 42.
I feel like he's just going to retire. 42. Is he 42? Okay. But still 5 years older. Okay, it has not been official yet.
No, I was checking signings recently.
Oh, okay. I just saw that somewhere. I saw it, the big time talking heads were like, "Oh, we hear Bergeron's working on a 1-year deal with Boston."
I'm sure he is, but
yeah,
I don't think
I don't know how much because he was on a very cheap deal for a guy of Bergeron's caliber anyway.
He was only on like 6.
Yeah, it was like 6.5 or something like that.
6.25. But ridiculously.
Not as good as Pasternak's 6.66, but
that's true.
Anyway, let's get to the awards.
That was before I got my group and I didn't write it.
That's fine. So the big time awards, including the MVPs and all of that jazz, were announced this week. Your MVP, as I think
player voted and writer voted.
Yeah, as I think we predicted, was Austin Matthews.
Yes.
I could not see a way that Austin Matthews playing for Toronto, because he had a fantastic year. He did not deserve it.
Not even just playing for Toronto.
I mean, he had 60 goals. He was the first 60-goal scorer, I think,
since
at
Ovechkin.
least, that's like 10 plus years ago at this point. So, yeah, since Ovechkin in 2010 or something like that.
Yep.
Connor McDavid came in second. That seems fair. And Shesterkin came in third.
Which is deserved. Very much deserved.
I would honestly... if Shesterkin had won, I wouldn't have argued.
No.
You know, just the way he played in the playoffs and all of that jazz. But, good for Matthews. He deserved it.
Yep.
Moving on. Wow, I didn't realize this vote was this close.
It was, yes.
Moving on to the Norris, which is best defenseman. It was won by Cale Makar.
Yes, it was.
He only won by 25 points over Roman Josi, who was in second. Now, if you guys don't know, the way that they figure this out is, I believe these ones are, it's voted on by the Writers Association of the NHL. And they get a ballot, and they put first through fifth on there, and then whoever gets first gets X amount of points, however many,
second, third,
it goes by how many votes you get.
So someone left Roman Josi off the ballot, a couple of people.
Yeah, I saw one guy justify it because he was like...
Roman Josi was not good defensively.
Correct. That's what he said.
And that is fair.
And I have seen other people... shout out to the hockey guy, because this is a guy that said this. He's like, it shouldn't be just the scoring competition for defensemen. It should be. Because defensemen aren't just supposed to score. They're supposed to play defense, too.
Yes.
Cale Makar does both very well. And I think that's why Hedman is third. Because Hedman plays pretty good defense. His offensive numbers have waned a little bit recently, but no?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But Roman Josi didn't really have good defensive metrics, and that's why a couple people left him off.
He didn't play on the
ballot.
He didn't play on the penalty kill at all.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize Chris Letang got 7th. Good for him. But yeah, it was very close between Josi and Makar. Makar won, and Makar is the third defenseman of all time Joining, I know Bobby Orr, I forget who the second one is, to win both the Norris and the Conn Smythe in the same year.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, well, I forget who the second one is.
It's Orr and
Lindstrom. Yes, you are correct. Winning the Norris and the Conn Smythe in the same year.
That was 2002.
That's two of the best defensemen of all time. So Cal McCarr is, I believe, 23.
Yep.
So take that, Adam Fox. Anyway, Adam Fox came in fifth, behind Charlie McAvoy. That surprises me. Ted Lindsay was also won by Austin Matthews. My God, he maybe needs to just shave his head. The hairstyle that Austin Matthews is rocking right now.
And the problem is, so Austin Matthews is, in these videos, very tan.
Oh, he's so tan. Well, he is from Arizona. So I assume he went home.
He just went home. He's very tan.
Well, he's, isn't he half Latino?
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes. His hairline is...
Receding. Pretty hard.
Yep.
But then he has a mullet to go with it, so he looks like... he kind of looks like Ron Jeremy.
God, yeah, he does.
Doesn't he? Look at him. He has that mustache.
He's got the porn stash. He's got the 80s stash.
Oh, that just came to me. Or, you know who he looks like? Did you ever watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Yeah.
He looks like Carl.
Yeah, he does. He looks like Carl.
Hey, look, Austin, I know you're listening because we're a huge podcast, but, my dude, you at least got to shave that mustache. You look like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Anyway, moving on to...
The Calder, which is Rookie of the Year.
So Matthews won the Lindsay as well, which, if you guys don't know, there's actually two different MVP awards in the NHL. One is voted on by the Writers Association. The other one is voted on by the players.
Yeah.
Almost always the same guy wins both. But there have been some years where one very notorious one I can think of, Sidney Crosby won the Lindsay and Ovechkin won the Hart, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it doesn't really matter." Cups are the only award that any of these guys really care about, but usually it's the same.
Cup's the only award that the player cares about.
It's the only one any of the players care about.
Rookie of the Year.
The Calder Trophy, won by Moritz Seider of the Detroit Red Wings, much deserved.
Yeah, that's what
this kid is a monster in the making.
I think Zegras got second.
Trevor Zegras second. Michael Bunting of Toronto third, and Lucas Raymond also of Detroit fourth.
Yeah.
Now, I saw some people arguing about Bunting because he's actually like a few years older than all of these other guys. But it doesn't matter. It's still his first year in Toronto in the league. So
it just took him longer to develop.
Yeah.
There's no fault.
No.
He was drafted.
No, I was saying it. I thought that was a stupid argument.
He was drafted in like the fourth, maybe even as late as
sometimes
the sixth round.
Sometimes it takes a hot minute for guys to develop into the players they're going to be. But Moritz Seider absolutely deserved it. He won this vote by nearly 700 points. What am I looking at?
I know. I'm just happy for...
Martin Fehervary got a vote.
Yeah, I'm just happy.
Is that how you say his name?
Fehervary.
Got one fifth-place vote, so Clay's all about that.
Should have gotten more, but whatever.
All right, the Vezina was won
Goalie of the Year
by Jake Markstrom. No, I'm just kidding. It was won by Igor Shesterkin. Yeah, he
guaranteed
100% deserved that. This one, weirdly enough, is voted on by the general managers.
Weird.
That's strange, but he got 29 of 32 first place votes.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know the three that didn't vote for him in first place. Where they voted for
were Carolina.
Or they were Carolina, Tampa Bay,
and the Islanders.
Ilya Sorokin. He didn't even have that good of a year.
Those GMs.
Okay. Also,
but the GM of the
also Ron Hextall voted for Tristan Jarry
for third place.
I see you, Hextall.
But there's no way the GM for the Islanders is going to vote for the GM of the Rangers.
That's totally fair. That is totally fair. He did give him second place at the very least, because the three non-first place votes
were second place.
Shesterkin got were second place. It's so funny. You could see which teams didn't vote for him.
Nerds.
Vasilevsky, I actually kind of get. He's an excellent. He didn't have Shesterkin clearly. It should have been unanimous, but it's so funny.
Give me 1 second.
Because definitely Calgary's GM voted for
Shesterkin.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky had a .249 save average and goals against, and then .918 save average, which is
that's dipping a little bit for him.
Yeah,
that's not that bad, but
it's a little bit like league average.
Yeah,
it's where you would like league average.
Yeah. That's like league average-ish. It's just so funny to look at these votes, knowing that they were voted on by the GMs, because definitely Alvin voted for Demko.
Yeah.
And then whoever St. Louis's GM is voted for Uso. It's really funny. All right.
We don't need to... who... So we did...
What's that? Lady Byng.
Which is least amount of penalty minutes.
Yes, was won by Kyle Connor.
Of Winnipeg.
He's the one player that they're probably not going to trade. The King Clancy Trophy, which I believe is... Off ice. I want to say charity work.
Yes.
Was PK Subban. I know PK Subban is huge into charity work. The Bill Masterson, which I believe is the basically the comeback player of the year, is Carey Price. That's fairly deserved. We mentioned Bergeron already won the Selke. These are the ones that were already announced. And then Daryl Sutter won the Jack Adams. That's fair, but the Jack Adams is... It always makes me mad, because the Jack Adams Award should just be renamed Bounce Back Team of the Year, because that's always the coach who wins it.
I mean...
because Calgary had a terrible year last year.
I mean, that is fair.
I mean, it is his first year in Calgary, so it's totally fair. Sucked. He did turn them around, but I'm just salty Mike Sullivan has never won Jack Adams. It's such bullshit.
That's fair. But also, Calgary's team didn't really change between last year and this year. And they
That's true. And they were really bad last year. That's totally fair. Okay. So, do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
You start, because I got a lot to talk about.
All right.
For a lot of my teams.
So let's start with the off-season preview, and we're going to start with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Clay, they have 20. They went 37-38-7 this year. Not a bad year, really.
No.
For Columbus, because I think
5th or 6th in the Metro.
5th in the Metro. They finished behind the Islanders. Remember, the Islanders finished the year pretty hot. 6th. I'm sorry. Columbus was 6th in the Metro. I apologize. Yeah. No, you're right.
Broke my brain.
Broke my brain there for a second, too. I was like, how many teams are in the Metro Division? Yeah, for a team that everybody thought was going to be really bad this year, Columbus actually had a fairly good year.
Mm-hmm.
Not 500, but just below 500, and honestly not that far out of the playoffs either.
No.
Yeah, but... Currently on their roster, they have 13 forwards, 5 defensemen, and 3 goalies. That's not counting minors guys or any of that. Their RFAs are Emil Bernstrom, Patrick Laine, Carson Meyer, Nick Blackenberg, Adam Boltquist, and Gabriel Carlson. Did I say that they have $21 million in cap space?
No, you did not.
$21 million in cap space.
That's a good amount.
Do you know who their UFAs are?
No.
It's no one.
Wow.
They have no UFAs. All of their free agents are RFAs.
Wow.
I think they're in pretty good shape.
That's a good spot.
I think a good chunk of their cap space will be taken up by Patrick Laine, Adam Boltquist, who played pretty well for them this year, and to a lesser extent, Gabriel Carlson.
Yeah.
But that's probably maybe like $15 million-ish.
So that leaves you with a little.
But that leaves you like $6, and you could go out and get like a fairly good player for $6 million, or a couple good depth guys for $6 million. I think they could open a little bit more cap space by trading Korpisalo, but it's only like 1.5. It's not that much.
The goalie market is very high
they could stack some picks for Korpisalo because he's cheap. He's not terrible. Somebody might take a flyer on him, like give him a 3rd round pick for him or something like that.
But the goalie market is very crazy this year.
It's going to be nuts.
It's just like I know where
1.3 for Korpisalo.
Again, like talking about Winnipeg and saying they should blow it up.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a sec.
I know, but Edmonton could use Hellebuck.
Edmonton could use Korpisalo, too. He would be better than Mike Smith, I think.
Yeah. Edmonton could use a lot.
Edmonton could use defense as well. But, I don't know that they'd need to go like big game hunting this offseason. I think this next year, they just need to let their younger guys grow even more. Let Boquist grow. Let Sillinger, who had a great year, grow. Bjorkstrand, who's still fairly young. Let that like younger core advance further.
I have the same thing going with the Kings.
Well, another thing to consider with Columbus is the draft capital that they have. Excuse me. They have 2 firsts, their own and Chicago's.
Mm-hmm.
That is 6th and 12th overall.
That's great.
That's
great.
They have their own second-round pick. They have Tampa Bay's 3rd. They have their own and Toronto's 4th. And then they have Anaheim's 7th.
Yeah.
But 6th and 12th? Overall, yeah. You can get a couple pretty good players. Not necessarily maybe making the team next year, but, like, pretty good, you know?
Yeah,
or you could, like, move one of those for something else, you know? Like, you could move that 12th pick probably for a pretty good player.
Yeah. And
if you really wanted to.
So, Columbus...
I think Columbus is in a good spot.
If they make the right moves, they can definitely be a threat next year.
Well, so, every team, if you make the right moves.
Fair.
Not every team does.
No. Boston. So, looking back, a lot of writers were clowning on them about letting Bobrovsky and Panarin go. They weren't going to keep Panarin.
No, he didn't want to be there.
No.
And Bobrovsky, honestly...
Made the right call.
Made the right call on Bobrovsky.
Made the right call.
Bobrovsky is still a mid-tier goalie, but he's getting paid $10 million a year.
He's not worth $10 million.
No.
Because we'll get to Florida next episode.
Yeah, but that's really all I have to say about Columbus. Okay. I think they're in a good spot. Yeah. We'll see how much they re-sign Laine for.
Mm-hmm.
If he really wants to be there. He might take another one-year deal like he did this past offseason. Because I believe if he does that, then he's a UFA next year.
Yeah.
And then he'll go to market if he's a UFA. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be interesting to see if they can sign him for multiple years.
Do me a favor and just talk about Winnipeg.
Yeah, okay, let's go. Let's skip ahead to Winnipeg.
I have a lot to say.
I have a lot to say about Winnipeg too. They're in trouble. Let's pull up their cap-friendly site. So they do have $18 million in cap space.
Yes.
Which sounds like a lot. But they only have 7 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 1 goalie signed next year.
That's not good.
No. Their RFAs are Mason Appleton, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jansen Harkins. Did I say that right? Yeah, Harkins, Evgeny Svechnikov. That's their RFAs. Their UFAs are Adam Brooks, Zach Sanford, Paul Stastny, and Eric Comrie. Now, you could lose all of those guys and it really wouldn't make that much of a difference. But,
problem is...
Well, not Pierre-Luc Dubois, but...
problem about Pierre-Luc Dubois...
He wants to be a UFA in a year.
Yes.
He wants to go to market. He already told the team that. And
them.
Apparently he told everyone else in the locker room.
He told everyone. He wants to go to Montreal.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, I get it. He's from Quebec. Yeah. I understand. But, like, if I was a player, I would want to play for the Penguins because I'm from Pittsburgh. And I'm sure the same thing for you because you're a Capitals fan.
I mean, yes, but no, because I would be worried about letting down that
team. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, give me that Penguins jersey. I'm a Penguin. And then they'd be like, this guy's terrible. I'm like, I'm still on the Penguins. I'm making my mom proud. But as we've mentioned a few times, they should blow it up.
They need to blow it up.
Because $18 million and you need, 7 forwards? Because you dress 12 forwards and you usually carry 2 extra.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need an extra defenseman. Now you could pull that from the minors, but they need another goalie too.
Right.
And they were already crushing Hellebuck with games played.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the reason why he didn't have a particularly good year. But
he was tired.
5 years before that, he was playing 70 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much.
You can't do that.
That's too much for a goalie. There's also been stories that the leadership, aka Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele, are not good at being leaders. That they're just shitty to everybody else on the team. That they have an inflated self-worth and all of that.
Think about
Wheeler was also injured for the most of last year.
Well, think about what Scheifele did to in the Montreal series last year.
What did he do? I don't even remember.
That flying cross check to the face.
Oh, yeah. So
that's a guy who when he gets frustrated, lashes out.
Right. So there's that, the whole Dubois thing.
He got suspended for the rest of the series.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could probably trade all three of them a lot. And get some first rounders. You could definitely get a lot for Scheifele. Probably get a lot for Wheeler. Now, Wheeler's contract especially is not appetizing for a lot of teams because 8.25. Scheifele's isn't that bad. It's 6.15. That's not too bad. You could probably trade that. Each of them only have 2 years left on it.
There's plenty of teams that could eat that contract.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of teams that would be like, give me Mark Scheifele.
Yeah.
Wheeler, somebody will probably take Wheeler.
Yep.
But they might be like, yeah, you're taking a chunk of that cap hit,
Which, if you're in a rebuild, you're fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
But you have to commit to that rebuild.
But their defense is, really not a very good defense, in my opinion. Josh Morrissey, Nate Schmidt, Neil Pionk, Brendan Dillon, Dylan DeMillo, and Logan Stanley are their top 6. It's not exactly inspiring group. Schmidt is okay when he's not taking steroids and getting suspended for half the year.
Makes me so mad.
Neil Pionk is a fairly good young defenseman. Logan Stanley's fine, but the rest of them, Morrissey, I guess, is okay. But the rest of them is just I don't know. That defense is not. That defense is not inspiring.
It's a lot of money in that defense.
And you could trade Connor Hellebuck for quite a bit too. As like Clay said,
you get first rounder.
The goal easily first round plus probably for Hellebuck. And he would probably be like, yes, take me to a team that has a better defense.
Washington needs a goalie.
Edmonton
needs a goalie.
Yeah, there's plenty of teams.
There's plenty of playoff teams that need a goalie. They're a goalie away.
Yeah. Edmonton especially. Mm-hmm. If Edmonton had Hellebuck, I don't know that they still would have. I don't think they would have beaten Colorado anyway. But
it wouldn't have been a sweep.
Would not have been a sweep.
I stand by my grammar.
As for Winnipeg's draft, now this is where they stand a little bit better. They have their own first-round pick plus the Rangers' first-round pick, but I believe the Rangers' first-round pick is 28 or 29, something like that, so it's not that high. And then their pick is 15.
This isn't as deep of a draft as next year's is.
No, next year's is the gangbusters draft.
Everyone should tank.
Yeah. Hint, Winnipeg. Connor Bedard is the white whale, is the Moby Dick for next year.
But it's deep outside of Bedard.
Oh yeah, outside of Bedard, there's tons and tons of players to grab. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything working out for Winnipeg other than trading Wheeler, Scheifele, maybe Hellebuck. I know that I already saw that they put up a pretty high price for Dubois. And I don't know that anybody, even Montreal, wants to pay that price.
No one's going to bite on it because they're going to go for...
Well, I think Winnipeg did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
To be just sign a one-year deal. Just stay here for next year, and then you can leave.
Right.
Which I can see happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, Winnipeg's in trouble. Trouble. They might be pretty bad next year.
Very much.
Depending on what they do. Also, if they keep the same thing together, they're also going to be pretty bad.
Yep.
Irregardless. So, or is it just regardless? It's just regardless.
Regardless.
That's one of those ones. That's one of those grammar things that I'm like, no, wait, that's wrong. But it's
they're going to be bad.
Yeah, regardless, they're going to be bad. Tell me about your teams.
All right. I'll start off with one of each. First up, in the Atlantic, we're going to talk about Toronto.
Oh, boy.
Their recap. I have some feelings about Toronto.
Tell me about them.
So, their season record.
Great season.
Their regular season is excellent. 54, 21, and 7 for 115 points.
Yep.
Second in the Atlantic.
Fucking Florida.
Frickin' Florida.
Yeah.
Postseason, they were 3 for 4.
I like how I swear and you don't.
It's a lot of fun.
He's a good boy. He doesn't swear.
Yeah. On radio.
On the podcast. You should hear this boy's mouth outside of the podcast. He swears like a sailor.
can't make dolphin noises. I'm sorry. All right, they lose to the Lightning in
the first round. Yeah,
in 7, the first round.
But it was I feel like it was the closest they were to winning.
This is the one that I do not fault them on because all of the others they gave up.
Yeah,
this
one they fought till the end.
Till the end, Vasilevsky just stood on his head and stole it.
Oh yeah.
They're restricted free agents.
Tell me.
Pierre Engvall, Andre Kase.
They're gonna want to get Engvall back. He played pretty well for them.
They're gonna want to get all these guys back.
Yeah.
Tim Lindgren.
Oh, didn't they? They just signed Lindgren.
Sorry, yes, they just signed Tim Lindgren to a 2-year, $1.4 million.
That's pretty good.
A year.
Yeah, he played pretty well for them.
Very good. Yeah. His,
I guess that contract hasn't been fully confirmed yet.
It won't be until the 13th, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's fine. They did resign Marcio Ordano too.
Your offer was under $1 million.
For who?
Lindgren.
Oh, his offer. Qualifying offer.
Thank you. Yes. I couldn't think of the word qualifying. His qualifying offer was just under $1 million, so he gets 1.4, which is not bad considering he was not up for arbitration.
And he's 23.
Yeah.
So.
And Rasmus Sandin is there.
Yeah, they haven't signed him yet.
So, all 4 of those RFAs played a minimum of 50 games this season.
Yeah. Even Kasha. Yeah.
Kasha he was the one who only played 50, and he got injured.
Yeah.
Kasha's going to be a problem because his qualifying offer is 2.6, and he's up for arbitration.
I think Boston for that. Didn't he get traded to Boston,
yes.
And then they gave him something?
Yes.
And then he was bad.
2.6 is up for arbitration as well. Engvall is qualifying offer is $1.25 million up for arbitration as well.
We'll probably get him back.
Probably. Their cap space is $7.85 million. It's not that much.
6'4" now with that Lindgren signing.
Yeah, correct. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wrote all of this before Lindgren signing.
Yeah, that was today. That happened today.
2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So their UFAs going into this season: Colin Blackwell, Ilya Mikheyev, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Jack Campbell.
Wow, 2 Ilyas.
The Campbell.
Jack Campbell. That's a problem. That's a big problem.
That's a problem. What's the math now? With 6'4". 6'4". Someone's going to pay him $4 to $5 million, and Toronto can't afford that.
Well, I think he had a good season. I think he deserves over 5. Honestly.
Yeah. Toronto can't afford
and
that.
If I was him, I would go to free agency because somebody is going to be like, here's $7 million.
Yes.
To come and play for Edmonton. Or whoever. Yeah. Anybody. Yeah.
There's so many teams.
He had a good enough season that anybody that needs a goalie is going to be like, here you go.
If you put a good goalie in front of the Devils, they look a lot better than
they
were playing.
Yeah. So that was one of the teams I've seen bandied about as a team that might take a swing at Jack Campbell is the Devils.
Yes. Yeah. The Devils' goalie play was so bad.
I think we discussed this last time. Their defense was actually not that bad. It was just
goalies
Blackwood and whoever else their other goalie was just horrible.
I want to say Wedgwood, but he's not on.
No, I think he's on Arizona now.
Yeah.
I know Nico Dawes played at least one game because he shut out the Penguins in a very frustrating loss for the Penguins.
So, with all of that, I don't know how they keep Campbell.
Unless they move some things around.
Mikheyev was only costing them 1.65 on the cap. Lyubushkin was only 1.35.
I think somebody's going to give Mikheyev an upgrade to that.
I think they give Lyubushkin more than that too, because he's a good defensive defenseman and played well. And
Mikheyev played pretty well for them, just in general as well.
Mikheyev 32 points in 53 games.
That's not bad. That's pretty good for depth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That John Tavares contract looking pretty bad.
That's what I'm mad about. Yeah. We'll get there. So, with all of their pieces that they have with Matthews, Tavares, and they only have Matthews for 2 more years and Marner for 3 more years.
Yeah. Same for Tavares, 3 more years too.
So draft-wise, they have their own first-round pick They don't have a second. They have Winnipeg's third. They don't have a fourth, fifth, or sixth.
Oof.
And then they have their seventh.
Wow, they only have 3 picks in this draft.
Yes.
I mean, kudos to them for keeping their first, but they might have to package that for somebody to take like Mrazek's contract.
That's another thing.
Something like
Mrazek
that.
is 3.8
or
for
TJ
2 more
Brody
years.
maybe.
And Mrazek,
It's not worth 3.8.
He got sent down.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with injuries, but he was
It's crazy because he played well for Carolina. What was it, last year or the year before? He played pretty well.
And Toronto, but not Toronto.
And then
Detroit before that.
Horrible this year.
And Detroit before that. So like,
that's why free agency is always danger time,
goalies
especially
are
goalie
danger.
free agency is danger time.
And
That's dangerous stocks you got there.
So you have $6.5 million to work with.
That's
You have
not enough.
all of these issues because Shalgren's your backup if Campbell leaves.
Yeah, your tandem is Shulgren and Mrazek next year.
That's your tandem.
Gonna be bad.
No one's taking Mrazek at 3.8.
Not without you adding that first round pick, probably, or your second.
And this all
2024.
comes down to the John Tavares contract, which makes me so mad.
We've discussed it a couple of times, but even
need to be at $11 million.
He doesn't even need to be there at all. Because when they signed him, they already had Matthews and Marner, and everybody was like, those guys are great. And then they were like, we signed John Tavares too. And I was like, why? You have a number one center. You have Austin Matthews.
Makes me so mad because they could have, instead of
they could be a much better team with that $11 million spread out throughout the
instead of $6 million needed this year, they have $12 million to work with this year.
And 17 if he's not there.
Well, I'm just envisioning they pick up someone worth half as much.
Yeah, okay.
So, that contract
because it's not like Tavares even really had that great of a year, right?
He was their fourth highest points getter.
That's not good enough for $11 million.
So, he
had 76 points.
Their point scorers are Matthews with 73 games, 60 goals, 46 assists for 106 points. Number 2 is Mitch Marner for 72 games, 35 goals, 62 points. 72 games, 35 goals, 62 assists for 97 points.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, William Nhlander.
Yeah.
81 games, 34 goals, 46 assists, 80 points. They have to trade Nhlander.
They can trade Nhlander, definitely. They could get a good amount for him. They could get some draft capital for him. But that's going to hurt to trade Nhlander. That's hampering your wingers there. And that's about $7 million extra dollars. But
it's $7 million that you don't need to
He's
you could keep him.
Yeah, you could keep him and not have John Tavares. Oh God, nobody's gonna take that Tavares contract. I can tell you that much. Because does he have
Tavares contract?
He definitely has. He has a no move clause, so
he
ain't going anywhere if he doesn't want to. And
you just killed your entire window with that one contract.
The only season that he had that looks like it was maybe worth $11 million is the first year he was on the Leafs. He scored 47 goals. That's maybe worth $11 million. Maybe. But then the next year is 26, 19, and 27 this year. And that first year with them, 88 points. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Really good. Then 60, 50, 76. And he was a -8 last year, too.
This past year.
Yeah, so that Tavares contract, I said it when they signed it, terrible contract.
You lose Matthews and Marner because of this contract.
Matthews is up for UFA before that Tavares contract is up.
He's making $11.5 million right now.
Well deserved. Oh yeah.
He'll make that somewhere else.
He'll make more than that somewhere else. Probably.
With the cap going up, yes.
Yeah, it should go up more. It's only going up $1 million this next year, but it should go up more and more and more.
Tavares makes this big stink about going back to play for his childhood team and doesn't make a little bit of a discount.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, that too. You couldn't be like, oh, I'm going to take him at 7.5. Fine. No complaints.
Fine.
No complaints. Him at 7.5. That's a great contract. 11. Terrible.
It's so bad. It's hamstringing your own team.
It's like, I think it's the biggest mistake that Dubas right? Dubas.
Yeah.
Dubas has made. It's the biggest mistake.
To me, it gets you fired.
I think it does, especially if they lose Matthews. In 2 years, when he's a UFA, he might be like, bye.
Yeah.
And he could go sign with whoever. Say at that point, I don't know who will be, who will have a ton of cap space at that point. But, like, say the Rangers have a ton of cap space at that point. You don't think the Rangers will be like, here, Austin Matthews, you're an American player. Come play for the red, white, and blue New York Rangers for $13 million and play with Panarin, like
all the good work that Dubas has done to make this team undoubtedly one contract.
That contract is such a bloody mark. I think it's going to sink. It's already sunk Toronto.
You had to trade Kadri away.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And look what he just did.
You have to trade Nylander.
He's got a cup now.
You have to trade Nylander away because of it.
You have to. Or you're going to have to sacrifice draft capital to get rid of Mrazek.
Morgan Rielly just signed this contract, so he's not going anywhere.
Morgan Rielly deserves that contract.
But I'm not
he has a no-move clause. But, like, Jake Muzzin and TJ Brody each have a no-trade clause.
And they're at $10 million for the two of them.
And they're at $10.5 for the two of them. Maybe you could trade Justin Hall, but he has a modified no-trade clause, 10-team no-trade. I do not. I mean, Mark Giordano's on a cheap contract, but that's a fine contract to me. But I don't know. You're gonna have to lose somebody pretty important to the team, and Muzzin or Brody. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Everybody. I gotta go away from Toronto because that's all I gotta say. It makes me bad.
They're in a rough spot.
Makes me mad.
I feel like they're gonna lose Campbell. Somebody is gonna give Campbell $7 million or something. No way that they can keep Campbell.
To field a full team, there's no way they can keep him.
No way. Or they lose Nylander and keep Campbell. I don't know that. I think that kind of equals out.
I don't know if they can. If they lose Nylander, that guarantees that they can keep Campbell.
Well, if they lose Nylander, then their cap space goes up to about like 12. Then maybe they can keep Campbell, but then that takes you right back to 6.5. Then you're essentially just trading Nylander for Campbell.
Yes. Which
one is more important? Like your third best scorer or your top goalie. That's essentially the choice that they have to make.
And Campbell can be streaky.
Yeah. And injury prone. He got injured for a good chunk of this past season.
He got injured. He had a funk that I will say takes a lot. Like, he worked himself out of a mental funk, which is very impressive.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Especially goalies struggle with that.
Goalies are such head cases. Yeah. One of the best head cases I can think of is Marc-Andre Fleury. There was like a solid 5-year stretch where Fleury was terrible in the playoffs.
Fleury, Waugh.
Oh yeah, Waugh too. And then
Lundqvist.
The only one that maybe wasn't was Brodeur. Brodeur was so consistent.
Yeah.
All the time. He was maybe the only goalie that wasn't a head case. Well, that's why he has the wins record and is the greatest goalie of all time.
He still might have been a head case.
Sure, but he kept it in. Yeah, but he was able to keep it together better.
Just insane confidence that he
deserved.
Yeah, he deserved.
You can't say he didn't deserve it. That man almost won 700 games and basically won several Stanley Cups for the New Jersey Devils by himself.
All right, we're going to talk about Calgary because Calgary is also in a spot right now.
You talk. I have to grab the charger for my computer. It's going to die.
We all need that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Calgary a little bit, which is good that Bert's not here to really get lost in it. All right, so Calgary had a very good regular season. They went 50-21-11, which is good for 111 points. Their goal differential was 85, and they were first overall in the Pacific. Their playoffs, they lost in the second round to Edmonton in 5 games. They won a hard-fought series against the Stars, but looked bad after the first game against Edmonton.
Did not look good against Edmonton.
So their cap space going into this offseason is $27 million. Seems like a lot.
Tell me why it's not.
Here's why it's not. Their RFAs this year, they only have 3. It's Oliver Kylington.
Shillington.
It's the same as Shalgren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does. It looks like it should be Kylington. It is Shillington.
Is he Irish?
I don't know. Maybe.
That makes sense.
Let's find out. He's definitely like Canadian. Oh, he's Swedish.
Which makes sense for Shallgren.
That makes sense.
Say it one more time. Shillington. Yeah. All right, Oliver Shillington. His qualifying offers $750,000. He played 73 games. He's up for arbitration.
I think he'll probably get more money than that.
He'll get more money than that. Andrew Mangiapane. Played all 82 games.
Oh, yeah.
55 points.
Yep.
35 goals. $2.5 million.
Nope.
Qualifying offer.
I can tell you that's a big old nope right there.
Arbitration.
With 35 goals.
Arbitration.
Who's their last one?
Their last one is Matthew Tkachuk.
I bet it is. Yeah, it is.
His qualifying offer is $9 million.
It's like he's going to sign for like 9.5 or 10. At least.
Qualifying offer is $9 million. Also up for arbitration, 104 points.
Yeah.
So that $27 million goes away.
Oh, what is that? I think
right quick.
At least 9.5 or 10 for Tkachuk, maybe more than that. Mangiapane 6, 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
35 goals, 6.
Yeah.
So what? That's about $16 million right there. But Shillington, maybe you add 3 on top of that.
You could say for Mangiapane that this was a career year,
right,
and an aberration.
Right, and then he'll be like, "I'll sign a 1-year deal for whatever."
Do the same thing,
yeah.
and then
be like, "Bye."
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are their restricted free agents.
Man, would you say $27 million? They
27 million.
Oh, I think that's going to eat at least 18 of that.
All right.
19 maybe.
All right. So
who are their UFAs?
UFAs. Johnny Gaudreau.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
115 points.
Yep. His best year of all time for Johnny Gaudreau.
His contract that he just ended was $6.75 million.
He's going to get at least
I think he's going to get more than that.
$9 million. 8 or 9.
So with the $8 or $9 million between Tkachuk and Gaudreau,
it's $17 million between the two of them at least.
Right there.
Yeah.
You got Ryan Carpenter, $1 million. No worries.
Well, the thing with Tkachuk too is that he's 24.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that deal done. I think I said this before. If you're picking between the two, I would take the younger one.
Yes.
No shade to Johnny Gaudreau, but
I mean, you could look at how Gaudreau disappears in the playoffs.
That's true. He did. He did that this year. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
All right. You have Ryan Carpenter. He's a winner. He's 31.
Yeah,
his contract was $1 million, 12 points. Doesn't matter.
You might be able to bring him back.
Yep. Calle Yarnko, $32 million was his cap. 30 points between.
$32 million. What was his cap?
Sorry.
3.2.
He is 30.
Okay. $2 million.
$2 million was his cap.
$32 million.
He was
half the cap.
He was 30 points between Seattle and the Flames.
Yeah.
Trevor Lewis, he's 35. He's probably going to retire.
Yeah.
Brett Ritchie, under $1 million. Doesn't matter.
So you could bring back some of these guys, probably.
Eric Gudbranson, played 78 games.
Yeah.
Defender.
Good big-ass defenseman, yeah.
Gudbranson and Zadorov are both free agents.
I don't know how big of losses Gudbranson and Zadorov would really be.
Well, I think losing both of them is a lot of muscle.
I would try to bring back at least one of them.
I would bring back Zadorov just because he's younger. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
Both of them played a majority of their
majority
games.
of the games. Yeah.
And then also Michael Stone, another defenseman.
Yeah. Mark Stone's brother.
Yep. Yeah. He played 74 games as well.
Yeah. That's 3 of their starting defensemen, along with Shillington, who I believe you said he started most of the games too.
So all of these guys, except for Brett Ritchie, started at least 65 games.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot.
That's like your team.
So that $27 million, that's nothing.
Goes away, right?
Yeah, look at that. They have 6 forwards signed next year and 4 defensemen.
That's it.
That's Winnipeg numbers, baby.
Yeah.
That's worse than Winnipeg, actually.
So I mentioned Gaudreau and Tkachuk. Those are their 2 highest points getters, and then third highest points getter is Elias Lindholm, who had 82 points this season. Let's look at their draft after that. It's not good.
Oh boy, no, it isn't.
They only have their 2nd, their 5th, and their 7th. That's it.
Christ. Oh, boy.
Calgary's window is closing.
Yeah. After they had probably their best year in many, many
closing
years.
Fast.
Who could they even trade? I don't know.
You trade the rights to Mangiapane?
Yeah, you could. You could get something for that. Not a lot, though, because it's just the rights.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I didn't realize they were in this bad.
You could trade Vladar.
You could trade Vladar.
Vladar could get...
He's cheap, and he played pretty good for them.
He played very well. He had a couple of shutouts.
Who the hell their backup's going to be then?
Right.
Dustin Wolf or Tyler Parsons, who are their minor leaguers, but they're Calgary's in a mess right now.
In a not good spot.
I think they could probably bring back.
I think they make the playoffs next year.
Oh, really?
With the Pacific.
Yeah, the Pacific's not very good.
I think they'll make some moves. I think they'll make the playoffs.
The thing is
they're gonna bring back Kachuk.
I think they could bring back Branson and Zadorov, probably. Both of them. I think they could probably bring back both of them. Maybe even Michael Stone, too. I don't think any of those three guys are going to be very expensive. But I basically think that they're going to have to pick between Kachuk and Goudreau.
Yeah.
Because the one contract that looks real bad is the Sean Monahan contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody's going to take that contract.
So the thing about Sean Monahan is they might buy him out. Or he might...
It's only for 1 year. You might be able to get somebody to take it. Like Arizona, you might be able to get Arizona to take that, but he has a modified no trade clause.
So Sean Monahan, I meant to bring that up.
10-team no trade clause.
He either spends a lot of time on the LTIR.
What do you know what his injury was?
He
is listed on the IR.
He is shot due to hip and hand injuries.
Maybe that might be a way that they save themselves. Is if he can go on the LTIR and just doesn't play next year. Basically, they might be able, maybe, to bring back both Kachuk and Goudreau.
He's had multiple hand and hip surgeries over the years.
That sucks.
It's very disappointing.
I always hate when their careers get just messed up by injury.
Yeah, he had a very promising career, which is
he had a couple really good years several years ago.
If you look at his stats, it's been the past 2 years where injuries have really taken that toll. Maybe 3 years, but still.
Let's look. 23 points in 65 games this year. 28 and 50 last year is bad.
Yeah.
48 and 70 the year before that. But the year before that, 82 and 78. That's great.
Yeah, so that's when
64 and 74 also pretty good. Yeah.
So
it was the last 3 years.
The last 3 years, injuries have really made that contract look bad.
Yeah, he's on the hook for $6.375 million just for this next year for Sean Monahan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they could get somebody like the Coyotes to take him, but somebody that needs to reach the cap floor and is definitely trying to be bad next year. Coyotes, maybe Buffalo, maybe. It's just 1 year of that contract,
right?
But they might have to lose that second round pick, to get them to take that, or they might have to swallow a chunk of it of that contract.
So it's either I think they be good next year, the window slams shut.
Yeah.
I wouldn't...
Depends on what they do. If they can get somebody to... let's just theoretically say, if they can get somebody to take all of Sean Monahan's contract and lose a draft pick or two for it, that opens it up to like 33, 34 million that they have. They could definitely bring back both Kachuk, maybe even Goudreau at that point. But is that good enough for the playoffs? I don't know. Definitely to make the playoffs, but I don't know about when they get to the playoffs. I don't know. That's the issue I foresee.
You're up.
I am up. Let me just stop this alarm from happening on my phone really quick. There we go. Okay. I knew it was coming. I was like, I have to stop that before it hits the airwaves. Let's talk about the Islanders, Clay. They went 37, 35, and 10 this year. if they didn't have such a horrible stretch to begin the year, they might have knocked out either the Capitals or the Penguins.
They would have knocked out Washington.
Yeah, for that last playoff spot. Maybe even Boston, too.
Yeah.
They might have finished above all three of those teams because they were really good at the end of the year. And then they fired Barry Trotz for some reason.
That's Lou Lamoriello hockey, baby.
That's true. They have $12 million in cap space this offseason, 13 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 2 goalies signed for next year. 3 defensemen. Their RFAs are Kiefer Bellows and Noah Dobson. I think they can bring both of those guys back. And their UFAs are Sebastian Aho, not that Sebastian Aho, the defenseman Sebastian Aho.
Sebastian Aho.
Zdeno Chara.
The one we watched play in Bridgeport.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we did, yeah. And Zdeno Chara and Andy Green, both of who
knows,
are pretty old at this point. Zdeno Chara, I know, is mulling retirement. Yeah. Andy Green, I haven't heard anything about yet, but he's at least 35, if not more than that. Let's see. Andy Green is 39, so Andy Green could also very easily. Oh, wow. Hell, Zdeno Chara is 45. Here's the thing with Zdeno Chara. He broke the record for amount of games played by a defenseman this past season. Just retire. You're going to the Hall of Fame. You've won multiple Norris, at least one Norris, if not more than one.
You have people.
You have a championship.
People keep forgetting that you're a dirty player.
Yeah, and in like a really dangerous way because you're 6'9".
Try to kill Max Pacioretty.
I would just retire. I was Zdeno Chara because he did not look good the last couple of years. Didn't look good this year with the Islanders. Didn't look good last year with the Capitals.
So mad at some of those goals.
Honestly, after the Bruins were like, bye, he should have just retired. I think he wanted that all-time games played by a defenseman record, which I get. He got it. But Andy Green's 39 too. I think it's very possible that both of those guys are retiring.
What's a UFA G6? Show me that. That's Sebastian Aho.
Did not accrue the required games by the age of 25. I don't know what that means, though.
Oh, to be an RFA, I guess.
To be an RFA, yeah. Because Sebastian Aho, the defenseman, is 26. Excuse me. So, yeah, they're in kind of an odd spot.
Yeah.
They might bounce back, but they're not going to have Barry Trotz next year. And half of their defense is leaving.
Yep.
Potentially leaving. They needed to add at least 2 defensemen. They need to upgrade their scoring because that was the big problem last year was their scoring.
Right.
Now, it might get better with Barry Trotz leaving because Barry Trotz doesn't play a particularly high offense style.
I mean, yeah, but still
think about... And they do have Matt Barzal.
Think about those Capitals.
That's true, but Clay knocked over. We reached that point where Clay knocked over his mic.
Yet again
in the episode. I think that's 2 for 2 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when Trotz was at the Capitals, he had Ovechkin. That's going to inflate his offensive numbers by quite a bit.
That's true.
Yeah. There's not an Ovechkin on the Islanders. The closest they might have is Matt Barzal, and that's not their home. You know.
He's an RFA.
And he's an RFA after this next season. That's going to be an issue. But you look at these contracts, they don't have any contracts that by themselves are really bad, but they have like a lot of like $6 million contracts, $5 million contracts, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And like guys that like maybe don't deserve that sort of contract anymore. Just, for instance, Casey Cizikas and Cal Clutterbuck are taking up, what is that, $3.25 million of your cap?
Thought.
That's too much for those 2 guys. And that's just 1.5 and 1.75 for each of them.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys don't score.
No.
They just play dirty. And they play okay defensively, but like...
Clutterbuck's just a pest.
Clutterbuck just annoys the crap out of everybody. Casey Cizikas is kind of the same.
Yeah.
You know, like... but nobody's going to trade for them, you know? Yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do. because they might have to lose somebody like Anthony Beauvillier, who's only 25, but he's making 4.15. If they're going to try to shake things up, that's the only person anybody's going to take off this roster outside of Matt Barzal. Maybe somebody takes Anders Lee, but
Beauvillier's good.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah. Is like, if you were asking me, I don't want to lose Anthony Beauvillier, but like, I don't think anybody's going to trade.
Palmieri.
I'm not taking Kyle Palmieri. You could maybe move JG Pageau.
Yeah.
Bailey, I don't know. He's 32. Maybe
Nelson's
you go.
30.
Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, but Anders Lee, your captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They're gonna have to move. They could move Varlamov too for $5 million of cap, but who's gonna take Varlamov? He's 34.
Yeah.
And like didn't play that well last year. I don't know. I don't really know what the Islanders are gonna do. I mean, they're gonna have to do something.
He may be someone you can have be a mentor for a young goalie for a year, but even then,
that's Sorokin, the other guy that they have, who also didn't play that well this year.
You're right.
Yeah, I just don't know what the Islanders are going to do. Now, draft-wise, they have their own first-round pick, which is 13th overall. They have Colorado's second-round pick. They have their own 3rd, 5th, and 6th. I just don't know what the Islanders are going to do. They're going to have to move somebody to open up cap space because they don't have enough players to play.
They're going to be sunk in 3 years.
Yeah, as this team gets older, when Lee and Nelson and Bailey, I mean, they're already 30 plus. Palmieri.
Most of their team is on the wrong side of 30.
Their average age is 29.4. That has to be up there.
That's
age-wise.
Wow.
That's pretty high
for their offense.
Their defense is worse, but that's with Zdeno Chara and Andy Green, I believe, factored in. But yeah, I don't know. They're not in a good spot.
No,
the Islanders. So yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't.
I'll talk about the Lightning because I don't have much to talk about.
Okay.
About them. So, all right, my other team just lost the Stanley Cup.
They did, just last night.
Lost the Stanley Cup. Their regular season, 51, 23, and 8, which is 110 points, 3rd in the Atlantic.
Man, the Atlantic was very top-heavy this year.
Yes. So, again, like I said, for playoffs, they lost in the Cup Finals to Colorado. Their cap space going into this offseason is -2.
Oh my God! I didn't realize they were in the negative.
They're -2.
Ooh, baby.
They don't have a single RFA this offseason. But they have 4 UFAs.
And that cap space is with 4 UFAs. Holy hell.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So Riley Nash is leaving. Andre Palat.
He's going to get a lot of money from somebody.
Is going.
Especially with that playoff performance he just had.
His last cap hit was 5.3, but
he's going to get 7.
Nick Paul might get some money.
Maybe.
His last cap hit was 1.35.
Nick Paul at the very least.
Very good playoffs, so he might get 2.
Nick Paul at the very least, I believe, was in trade deadline acquisition.
Calgary.
Yeah. No, Montreal.
Montreal?
Yeah. But he played well for them.
And then Jan Ruda. So all these guys scored in the playoffs.
Right. Does this factor in Brent Seabrook's contract?
But that's LTIR, so...
I know, but sometimes Cap Friendly will... just keep talking, I'll do the math.
Okay. So, all these guys played 75 games minimum, except for Riley Nash. So, sorry. But Riley Nash played 49 games for 4 points. So it doesn't factor in.
Right.
So, yeah. Now...
That's an issue.
For their draft, they have their own first round. They have their they don't have a 2nd or 3rd. They have Chicago's 4th, their 5th, theirs and Detroit's 6th.
Okay. And
theirs and the...
So I will say, the Cap Friendly is factoring in Seabrooks.
Who's the 7th round?
Sorry.
The Rangers. All right, it was the Rangers.
It is factoring in Seabrooks' cap hit.
Okay, so they do have a little bit more to work with.
Yes, so they actually have about $5 million of cap space.
That's not bad.
Okay. I noticed that about, we're using cap friendly in case anybody's wondering, but I did notice that about some of the teams I've been looking at, is that they're not factoring in players that are not going to play anymore, like Brent Seabrook.
LTIR is...
Well, realistically, the teams can't do LTIR until, I think, the first day of the season.
Gotcha.
So, technically, they are at $84.5 million at their cap, and the cap is 82.5. But everyone knows Brent Seabrook is not going to play again, so that's like $6.5 million off of their cap.
Okay, cool. So they have $5 million to work with.
Yeah, but that's still not that much.
No. So they might be able to bring one or two guys back.
Maybe, probably Jan Ruda.
But Jan
Ruda is like a defensive defenseman, but they're in trouble. They're definitely going to lose Palat.
They're in trouble because a lot of their RFAs come in next year.
Next year they're in a big stink.
Who are they going to trade? Because Kucherov points.
No, I will say
you're not going to get rid of Stamkos.
No,
you're not going to get rid of Hedman.
I wouldn't get rid of Point either.
You're not. I'm saying those are the big contracts that are keeping you down.
Yeah.
You're not going to as long as you have Kucherov, Point, and
Stamkos.
I'm not.
And Hedman.
Vasilevsky.
Oh yeah.
Your window's never fully shut.
No, especially not with Vasilevsky.
So with those three guys, your windows.
If they had a healthy Point, they might have won the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have 2 more years of Stamkos, 3 more years of Hedman.
Yeah.
That's your window.
Well, at that point, Hedman might take a more team-friendly deal because he'll be 34. Stamkos, same thing.
The argument is who you trade away to get cap space.
Cirelli or Killorn looking at this. Mikheyev? Sergachev.
Sorry. Mikhail Sergachev. I got
Oh
the first
yeah,
and last
you could
name.
probably get quite a bit for Mikhail Sergachev and Anthony Cirelli. Both of them are only 24 years old.
They're 24 years old.
I did not realize Cirelli was only 24.
I thought he was so much older.
It's the cup. It's the cup runs that are throwing us off because Cirelli is only 24, making 4.8, and he's an RFA next year.
He's going to make more.
You could get quite a bit for Cirelli. And that could open it up, bring back some other guys, but
this offseason,
I don't know. But do you have to move somebody? Yeah, probably.
I see this offseason you move one person.
One of them. You don't have to move both of them.
No, this offseason you move one of them.
I would maybe move Cirelli,
but you need depth. Yeah, I would move Cirelli too.
Sergachev played really good in the playoffs.
Out of the two, I'd move Cirelli.
Yeah. Because that opens up. That takes you to almost $10 million. You could definitely bring back at least Jan Ruda for that. And maybe Nick Paul and Riley Nash. Palat, I don't think Palat is an option.
No.
And then you're like almost the same team.
The window's not fully shut.
No, I don't think so.
2 or 3 more years. And then that's it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Stamkos had 106 points. Victor Hedman actually had 85 points. He's the second highest.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
That's why
Shut up, Bert.
That's why I
wrong,
said that. Yeah. And then Kucherov had 69 points in 47 games.
Well, I think Hedman gets overshadowed by everything else on the team.
Yes.
By Vasilevsky and Stamkos and Kucherov and Point and all those guys. But
so that's
Tampa.
They're
actually not in a bad position.
Not as bad as they could be.
You maybe lose one of Cirelli or Sergachev. Definitely, you could get a lot for either one of them.
Now, once Hedman and Stamkos' contracts are up,
that's in 3 years.
We'll see where they are.
I think they'll be done by then anyway. Because they have Braden Point for 8 more years.
I know, and Kucherov
until 29-30, Kucherov until 26-27. By that point, these guys are going to be old. But
we'll see where they are.
I think they might have at least next year, maybe 2 years of contention left.
Yeah.
Really. Tampa, kudos to Brisbois. He set this team up, honestly, for for success.
Because a lot of the older depth guys come off next year or in 2 years from now.
Even that, it's not that bad. Even the contracts that these guys signed aren't that bad. Maroon is signed through 24-25, but only at $1 million.
Corey Perry
is back next year.
Bellemare are $1 million each.
Bellemare $1 million each. Both of them are back next year. Both of them played pretty well for them. Colton Ross, who's a good young player,
2 more years as an RFA. He will be eligible for arbitration when he comes up. I'm
sure they'll re-sign him. You got to remember they got Brandon Hagel, who's probably only going to get better. He's only 23.
Right.
They have him at $1.5 million for the next 2 years. So Tampa Bay is in. I guess I didn't know that Tampa Bay is in a pretty good position moving forward. Now, losing Cirelli or Sergachev's going to hurt, but
it might keep him from the cup. But it's not going to keep him from the playoffs. It might
keep the window open. And when you get to the cup, when you get to the playoffs, anything can happen, and experience matters.
Yes.
So
and they have.
Say you lose Cirelli, but you get to bring back all of the other guys other than Palat. You're in pretty good shape.
Even Cirelli or Sergachev, they are veterans of the
which is crazy because they're 24.
Right.
Yeah,
all right, you're up.
All right, I'm up. Let's talk about Nashville.
Oh, bad.
Nashville, they're in a weird position too. They do have $21.5 million.
It's more than I thought. But they only have Forsberg.
Let me talk about it.
Fine.
That's my team. God, Clay. They have 10 forwards, 7 defensemen, so full defensive set, and 2 goalies signed. So realistically, they're only missing, 4 forwards to be pretty much set for next year. However, their RFAs are Luke Kunin, Matt Luff, and Yakov Trainin. Their UFAs are Nick Cousins, Matthew Benning, Ben Harper, David Riddick, and the big one, Philip Forsberg.
Who is flopped back and forth whether or not he wants to come back.
I have no idea. Now, 21.5, you do have enough money to bring back Forsberg. There's no way he's going to get like $10 million. But, but it kind of depends on whether he wants to come back or not. Does he want that 8-year deal? Does he, or does he want to go to UFA and be like, who wants to give me a bunch of money and who's a better team than Nashville, teams are probably salivating to give Philip Forsberg a bunch of money.
Too much money.
$8 million, $9 million, something like that, especially after the year that Forsberg just had.
Yeah.
Forsberg was definitely a huge reason they actually made the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
But I will say that, who is it? Johansson and Duchesne actually had pretty good years for the two of them. I remember at the beginning of the year, we were like, if they're going to do anything, these two guys actually have to show up.
And they did.
And they did this year. However, their first round matchup was Colorado, and I don't know that anybody was going to beat Colorado this year.
No.
Look, they slew the Dragon in Tampa Bay. I think they were going to slay anything that they played. Honestly, they were the best team.
Yes.
But you could say, oh, UC Saros was injured; he didn't even play. They were going to win anyway. They would have beat Saros.
Oh
too.
Yeah,
no way.
That Saros injury hurts, but maybe they don't get swept.
Maybe they win one game, but I don't know that.
Sweep.
A gentleman's sweep of 5, where they get one. But I don't know. I could see them. They need more scoring punch from their younger guys if they're going to bring them back, like Eli Tolvanen and Philip Tomasino. But I don't know. They're in such an odd place.
They're in a weird mediocrity.
Because obviously Roman Josi just finished second for Norris.
Yep.
He's not going anywhere. They have enough money to bring back all of their free agents.
Yes.
But, is that good enough? I don't think so. Do you sacrifice somebody like Forsberg to try to go after something else? But, what's better than Forsberg in free agency, really? I don't know.
Gaudreau?
I think they're on the same... Gaudreau had more points, but I think they're on the same plane.
I agree.
So
I'm just devil's advocate.
No, thank you. But like, I don't know, or maybe you take a swing at, like, a big trade or something like that. You eat somebody's contract. You try to get DeBrincat or somebody like that in a trade, but that... You have enough money to take DeBrincat's contract, but remember, I think he's only signed through next year, so DeBrincat's going to need a lot of money too, you know? And maybe you trade for him and then sign him. Okay, that replaces Forsberg, but does that fix it? I think DeBrincat's probably better than Forsberg, at least right now, but I don't know. Nashville is in an odd position.
They're not good enough to actually make that leap.
No.
But they're not bad enough to actually rebuild.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, they're kind of in that weird, mediocre, probably make the playoffs, but then lose in the first round.
Right.
You know? Yeah, well, as far as their draft goes, they do have their first round draft pick. They have 2/3 their own in LA's. They have their own 4th, their own 5th, and their own 7th. So that's not a ton, but, you know, they're not a rebuilding team, so they're not going to have a ton.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's it.
We'll find out for Nashville. Not as much to talk about Nashville, but we got one more team to go. Let's talk about the LA Kings.
Let's talk about the LA Kings. I forgot to mention something beforehand.
Oh, sure.
The Canucks. This is not
the Nuckies
confirmed yet because July 13th free agency hasn't opened.
Yeah.
Have signed Andrei Kuzminko from Russia.
Oh, right. Yeah, I did see that. He's a big, he's a big foreign free agent. Yeah.
Big foreign free agent. 1 year, .95 cap hit.
I think it. How old is he? Do you know?
26. Winger. He's a 26-year-old winger. It's an entry-level contract.
Yeah, I think because he never played in the NHL, he has to sign an entry-level contract.
He does.
Yeah.
So, their cap friendly is assuming the max entry-level contract,
that's probably correct. It's 0.925. Yeah.
0.95.
0.925. No, is it 95? Oh, they raised it. That's right.
95 straight.
That's right. They're right.
With the possibility of 1.8 million.
Yeah, incentives and
and stuff. But yeah, so that's the big free
forgot
agent
about
get.
that. Yeah.
And
so far, but that can't be official until the 13th.
And he actually went to Vancouver, which is rare for Vancouver.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, you know, Vancouver's not a terrible place. You know, there's places like Winnipeg, for instance, players don't want to go to because the weather is horrible there. They have blizzards all winter, so I kind of get it. But like Vancouver is nice, or nicer place, you know.
It's basically Seattle, but Canada.
But this is a guy coming from Russia too, so like,
you could deal.
You know, Vancouver's not close to Russia, but like, it's one of the closer places you could be.
All right, so we're gonna go. So, want to talk about that maybe signing. Gonna go talk about the Los Angeles Kings.
LA Kings.
So we're in a very good spot.
Oh yeah,
they're in a very good spot. So their regular season, they were 44, 27, 11. Which is good for 99 points.
Made the playoffs.
They were 3rd in the division.
Yeah.
Made the playoffs.
They did indeed.
In the Pacific, which is only, 3 teams did that.
Yeah.
And they had a goal differential of 3.
They almost beat the Oilers in the playoffs, too.
They did.
They were very close.
They lost in 7 games to the Oilers. Their cap space to work with is $20 million.
Yep.
Which is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see how it goes, because let's talk about their RFAs. They have 7 RFAs.
Yeah.
Only 4 are eligible for arbitration right now.
Okay.
And that is Lewis Anderson, Carl Grundstrom, Adrian Campe, and Brandon Lemieux.
Elias Anderson.
I actually wrote Elias.
Good old Lewis. That Swedish guy named Lewis.
I actually wrote Elias, which is disappointing.
And I heard it. I was like, I'll let him finish.
So
I'm gonna let you finish, but it's Elias.
Adrian Campe is the big one that they're gonna keep.
Yeah.
His qualifying offer is 2.5.
Oh, he'll get more than that.
He will.
Yeah.
He was their 2nd highest points getter this season, behind Kopitar and ahead of Danault.
Yeah.
So Kopitar had 67 points, Campe had 54, and Danault had 51.
And Campe is only 25, too.
Yeah, he's going to make some money.
You want to keep him.
They have 5 guys on this team who are playing most of the season on their entry-level contract.
Oh, yeah. Quentin Byfield.
I didn't knock this one over.
No, okay, yeah, sure you didn't.
This one I didn't. I caught it. Quentin Byfield. I can't think of the guys. And they have 2 defenders who played 74 games between the 2.
Yeah, it's the entry-level contracts are Quentin Byfield, Arthur Kyliev, Rasmus Kupari, Tobias Bjornfort, and Jordan Spence.
And they're
guys, signed through next year.
All those guys played 70 games.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you made the playoffs with those guys playing.
Yeah, they're all...
is excellent.
22 or under.
The other guys not up for arbitration are Gabriel Velarde, Michael Anderson, and Sean Dursey.
Yeah.
Dursey they're going to keep because he played 64 games, had 24 points. Anderson played 57 games, and Velarde played 25.
I think Velarde was injured at a certain point this year, too. Yeah.
So,
I think they'll probably keep all of
those guys.
Yeah, but I would be interested to see how much they sign it Kempe for.
Yes.
Probably 5.
Thankfully, they got Dustin Brown's contract off the books with his retirement.
Yeah, with his retirement.
So that really opens up that $20 million. Yeah, $20 million. They're unrestricted free agents. The only one really is Andres Athanasiou.
Hey, look at you. You said his last name
right. Look at me. And again, his cap was only 2.7. If he wants to stay,
that much. Yeah, he can probably sign him, really.
He had injury problems this past year. He only played 28 games. Alex Edler is probably going to retire.
36, yeah.
He's 36. He's not going to re-sign 3.5 again. Oli Mata, they might bring him back at 4.
Yeah, he's fine.
And then Troy Stretcher played 29 games.
Yeah.
So their draft-wise is looking very good as well. They have their own first, second, and fourth. They have Pittsburgh's 3rd.
They do.
Their own 5th and their own 6th.
Yep.
It's only the 7th round that they don't have. A pick.
That's fine. I think, I don't know how much they're going to do this offseason. They might be like, let's roll it again next year. Let's see what our young guys do next year. Yeah, let's run it back. See if we can make the playoffs again. Hey, they almost beat Edmonton. They were so close to beating Edmonton.
The problem is their goalies. They only have Jonathan Quick for 1 more year, and then Cal Peterson is also at $5 million for 3 more years. And after this year, he doesn't look like the guy. So I don't know who is going to take that Peterson contract, if anything.
I don't know. There's a lot of teams that really need a goalie. So
that's true, but $5 million.
Horrible, but $5 million is too much for Cal Peterson, probably. What are some numbers this year? In 37 games, 289 goals against, 895 saves.
He lost his job to Quick. Now, Quick had a resurgence.
Sure.
But
Quick is the old, wily veteran.
But Quick had a couple of bad years in a row.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Kings, just in general, had a couple bad years in a row. Oh, yeah, Quick did play pretty well this year. 259, 910 save percentage. That's not bad.
Yeah, he looked like his old self.
Yeah, but the years prior.
Oh, yeah. 3 years prior was garbage. So, the Kings are doing this rebuild right.
They're doing well. Yeah, certainly. Oh, and I forgot they lost Drew Doughty for...
Yep.
Like right before the playoffs or something.
Right before the playoffs,
yeah,
they lost
Doughty.
Sean Walker.
Yeah, Sean Walker, too.
They do have a couple of... I think Dion Phaneuf is on their cap for 1 more year.
Is he really? He is. Look at that. Oh, my God.
They have to deal with Mike Richards for a little bit as well.
Those poor bastards.
Yeah.
And Mike Richards famously got arrested for trying to smuggle drugs into either the United States or Canada.
He got caught at the border.
He got caught at the border.
I don't
remember where he was going exactly, but
so they do have a little bit to deal with that.
Sure.
But again,
that's not that much.
Only 1 more year of Phaneuf.
Yeah.
And that's $2 million.
Yeah.
And then
you get
Mike Richards.
Mike Richards is for a while.
It's for a while, but it's decreasing in value.
Yeah, it's only. I mean, it's only $900K next year, and then $700, and then $600, and then it ends.
So
it's not that much. LA, good position.
They're good position. I don't know if they make the playoffs. This was kind of
have
an
to see.
overachieving year.
This was certainly an overachieving. But, like young guys like Byfield might take a big step in the offseason. You never know. Because he started the year injured, too. Byfield did.
Yes, he did.
So he might come out guns a-blazing next year.
For all we know. I don't know if LA makes the postseason because a lot of the teams in the Pacific are going to make a step up. I don't know if it's only going to be three.
Maybe they're going to make a step
up. I think the Knights make a step up. I think the Canucks make a step up.
Vegas should be back in it next year.
Vancouver might take a step up. So
hopefully, God, come on, Vancouver.
They brought Boudreaux back. They made these signings. They should be good.
They should take a step up. But we'll talk about more teams next week because we won't have any more games to talk about. So it'll be probably the rest of the
we only have a couple more teams to talk about, so
I think
two more episodes.
Yeah,
and
we could do four again each next week, and then we're almost at free agency.
Yeah,
because it's the 27th today that we're recording. Free agency starts on the 13th, which is less than 3 weeks away. So that's exciting.
So we got 3 more episodes to finish the season. Then we're gonna take a break.
Yeah, we'll have a big old free agency bonanza, and then we'll probably see you guys in the fall.
Yeah.
But thank you guys as always for listening. We really appreciate it. You can follow us wherever you can find podcasts. Give us a rate, review, subscribe. It helps apparently from what I hear of other podcasts. But we will see you next week for more off-season previews.
Yes, we will.
At the same puck time.
Same puck place.
Bye-bye. Bye.